to Applicata Biblia. My name is Mark. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out for a minute as we look into God's Word a little bit. We are continuing in the series, A Walk Through the Bible. And we are going to be looking at Israel's kings today. And like I said in the previous lesson, it's going to be kind of short because the theme is the same throughout the whole thing. Now, I haven't been reading the scriptures. I've been just summarizing them. But in this one, I'm just going to read the scriptures. And what I did with this lesson, and this is 45 and 46, because 45 is actually a test that I give my students. Yeah, I do test them. And a lot of times it was obvious they weren't reading because we were talking to high school students and stuff. But that's okay. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through each king. There's like 18, and we're just going to read each verse about them that I picked. And it's like, again, it's very repetitive, but what we have to think about when we're reading something like this or studying something like this, what does God want me to know? What am I supposed to think about all this? Obviously, like I say, these evil kings aren't here so we can go, look at that evil king, he's so stupid. That's not the purpose. The purpose is for me to go, how can I do this same thing? How can I be evil? How can I stop from doing this stupid thing that they did, whatever it might be? Okay, so starting with first, I'm going to just go through these really quick, and you can just maybe read it if you want from the text. And I'm not going to call them out. I'm just going to read through them. So it's going to go really, really quick. Okay. Jeroboam. And Jeroboam made a feast in the 18th month of the 15th day of the month, like the feast that is in Judah. And he offered on the altar. So he did in Bethel to sacrifice to the calves which he made. Oh, no. And he made stand in Bethel the priests of the high places that he made. Okay, I can't just read them. Okay, this is the beginning of them. Okay, and this runs concurrently with Judah's kings, starting with Rehoboam. So Jeroboam, he makes these golden calves, and he's making them worship in places where God didn't sanction it. He's committing idolatry right off the bat. So that's the big problem. So let's go. Nadab. He did evil in the eyes of Jehovah and walked in the way of his father and in his sin to which he made Israel to sin. Think about that. Baasha, the next king. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of Jehovah and walked in the way of Jeroboam and in his sin, which he caused Israel to sin. See a theme here? Elah and Zimri. In the 26th year of Asa, the king of Judah, Elah, the son of Baasha, began to reign over Israel 2 years, and his servant Zimri, the captain of half of the chariots, conspired against him, and he was in Tirzah, drinking himself drunk in the house of Arza, who was over the house of Tirzah. And this is part of this intrigue that starts happening, and they start migrating to getting Ahab into power, Ahab and Omri and those guys, and this is Zimri, who ends up killing people. So that's the bigger part of that story. Because why? Because they have no regard for God. They're just doing what they think they want to do. Okay, Jehoahaz. Omri. And Omri did that which was evil in the eyes of Jehovah and did evil above all who were before him. So the kings were really, really bad. And then you get this guy Omri, and he's the worst. Ahab. And Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the eyes of Jehovah above all who were before him. See where we're headed here? This is nuts. This is crazy because this is a nation without God. These are people who have no regard. They don't have the proper reverence toward God. King number 7, Ahaziah. For he served Baal and bowed to it, and provoked to anger Jehovah, the God of Israel, according to all his father had done. Good job serving Baal. Okay, and he gets that from his father Ahab, and that's really unfortunate. Jehoram, and he did that which was evil in the eyes of Jehovah, only not like his father and his mother, for he put away the pillar of Baal that his father had made. Now, when you look at it, he had a good reason for doing that, because if I remember correctly, they were asking Baal to do something, and nothing happened. So he's seeing that this is not even a god, but he's still worshiping in places where he's not supposed to, still committing idolatry. Jehu did not take heed to walk in the law of Jehovah, the God of Israel, in all his heart. He did not turn from the sins of Jeroboam, who caused Israel to sin. Those are that original sin of idolatry. And Jehu is a departure from the family of Ahab. There's this other story in there. Jehu is an agent for God who's killing these kings, killed the line of Ahab. It was really terrible and bloody. King number 10, Jehoahaz, and he did evil in the eyes of Jehovah and went after the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Okay. King number 11, Jehoash, and he did evil in the signs of Jehovah. He did not turn aside from all the sins of Jeroboam and the son of Nebat. King number 12, Jeroboam the second, and he did evil in the eyes of Jehovah. Okay, that's that repetition. And that you have to ask yourself when you read this. You don't look at it and go, oh, this is so boring. He keeps saying the same thing. Why is God saying the same thing? Why does he want us to hear this? Same with Zechariah, King 13. He did evil in the eyes of Jehovah as his father did. Okay. King 14, Shalom. Shalom, the son of Jabesh, began to reign in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and he reigned a full month in Samaria. So he was only king for a month for a reason. He was also an evil king. King 15, Menahem. He did the evil in the eyes of Jehovah, did not turn aside from the sins of Jeroboam. King number 16, Pekahiah, and this is almost towards the end of their history. He did the evil in the eyes of Jehovah and did not turn aside from the sins of Jeroboam. King number 17, and I don't know if you remember a few lessons ago we talked about Pekah going up against one of the Judean kings. And he did evil in the eyes of Jehovah, and he did not turn aside from the sins of Jeroboam. So that sin that was begun by Jeroboam stays with them throughout their entire history. That idea of worshiping in this other place so they don't go to Jerusalem and get mad. Okay, this last king, Hoshea, he did the evil in the eyes of Jehovah, only not as the kings of Israel who were before him. So he was evil, but maybe not as evil. But it didn't matter. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and removed Israel to Assyria, and made them live in Hala and in Habor and by the river Gozan in the city of the Medes. So they take them and they disperse them in their cities. Okay, many of the kings followed the sin of Jeroboam. What was a sin? I keep talking about it. Be ready to discuss how a leader of a nation can cause the nation as a whole to sin. What about the leaders of a community, of a church, or of a family? So that's just basic, responsibilities that leaders have. And when you get to the New Testament, when it gets to the church, there's really good instructions on how to select elders and deacons and that sort of thing, and how preachers are supposed to, what they're supposed to do within any of that, within the church and teachers and everything, and how it is that teachers have more responsibility, because if you are lying or not telling the truth about God, you're in big trouble with God. So how is it though? And all you have to do, how is it that one person, like a leader, like a king or a president or anybody, can become evil and just lead a bunch of people astray? Well, happens all the time. If you see a president or a king or anybody, it doesn't matter, a judge, somebody who is not being just, or maybe is saying that something should be happening that goes against God's word, that's not going to go well. And I know that a lot of people don't believe that. I don't want to believe that, but that is the truth of the matter. And so you have to be able to be ready to look at that and be honest about it. Okay, one of the other things I wanted to make sure I get in here is this area of Israel is north of Judah. Okay, why is that important? Well, when Jesus comes along, where is he from? Well, he's born in Bethlehem, so he fulfills the prophecy in that way. But he lives in Nazareth. So, when the people are looking for a Messiah, they're looking for the person from Bethlehem. Well, okay, Jesus fulfills that. And so when it comes time for Jesus he's selecting his disciples, somebody says, hey, I found the Messiah. And they say, oh, who is it? And they say, Jesus of Nazareth. and the guy says, the future disciple says, does anything good come from Nazareth? That's because of the attitudes by the time that Jesus comes along, some 400 or 500 years later, 600 years later, that we see an attitude that the Samaritan, right? Remember the story where Jesus speaks to the Samaritan woman? There is a natural, cultural attitude of the Jews down in Judea concerning the Jews that are in Samaria. They don't consider them to be true Jews because they broke off, for one thing, but then they were intermarrying between so many of the surrounding nations, which Judah probably did that too. But once they get carried away by Assyria, it is very difficult for them to trace their lineage like the Jews in Judea. At least that is their perception. And so when Jesus goes to speak with the Samaritan woman, his disciples are flabbergasted. They're like, why are you talking to this person? And there are a lot of things like that we will see when we get to the New Testament. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you in the next one.